Okay, here we are on the laptop, and hopefully you can see the quality difference. One of the main reasons for going to a DSLR. Now, the camera that I chose is the Canon EOS 70D, and this is about $1,000 for the camera body. It's reliably about $1,000 almost anywhere you look online. This is a crop sensor camera, so again, we have to do our lens calculation when we're looking at the different lenses that we're going to buy for this. This camera body comes in a kit form with a zoom lens, and I chose not to buy the zoom lens because I wanted to buy two prime lenses that had a larger aperture and somewhat better quality than the zoom kit lens, which is a fine lens. If you can only afford one lens, like I said, you should probably buy the zoom lens. But I had a little bit of extra budget to allocate to this, so I picked up two different lenses. Now, the first one we'll talk about is the 40mm lens. This is a EF 40mm 2.8 aperture STM lens, okay? The effective focal length of this when we do the math is 64 millimeters. This costs $179, and the STM designation here stands for stepper motor. And what this has been designed to do is silently focus when you're taking video. So really, this is my video lens. Allows me to get close-up headshots, allows me to take more detailed shots on the site, and the 2.8 aperture is a larger opening. Now, you can obviously get larger openings than 2.8. This balanced sort of function and price. At $179, it's a pretty reasonable get here. Now, knowing that I wanted to take video, I wanted to be able to get that blurred background effect. That's called bokeh. And there's a couple of different ways to get it. One of them is to use a large aperture. So you open up the aperture and you get more of the sort of blurred effect there. This one in particular came with a hood, which is great for outdoor photography, and you can use this on a number of different lenses. It just sort of screws onto the end of the lens. So this helps with lens flaring and will keep your artifacting to a minimum. And it also came with a sort of lens cleaning kit here. If you look on Amazon or anywhere online that you choose to buy, you'll get, oftentimes these will be bundled with UV filters and little lens cleaning kits. So $179 for that one. Now, the 24mm here, this is sort of my wider angle option. This is the EF-S STM 2.8 aperture. This has an effective focal length of 38mm. This was $149. The S designation here stands for small image circle, and crop sensor cameras in particular allow the optic elements to actually be placed closer to the sensor. And what this does is it allows you to have wider angle opportunities. Now, if you want something that's wider than this, and granted with the crop sensor, you know, if we're looking at a 38mm effective focal length of 38mm, that's not all that wide. If you have some really small spaces that you need to get into, you might consider buying the EF-S 10 to 20mm zoom lens, and that one right now is running about $650 on Amazon. So for me, it was a little bit out of my price range, but here again is another advantage of buying the DSLR is that you can always upgrade to that in the future. Or you may, if you have a photo shoot coming up, you may consider renting some of these lenses. And there are tilt shift lenses that you could rent that fit crop sensor cameras. In general, the tilt shift lenses, if you're looking to go that direction, you're probably going to want a full frame sensor. So that's something to consider as you go along here. You're going to want a number of these. This one in particular is the 32 meg, and you're going to need to get an Ultra Class 10 SD card. And what that allows you to do is capture your video accurately. You don't want it dropping frames. So Class 10 SD card, buy as many as you need. They're fairly cheap. I got the 32 gig card, I think for about $12. Number two accessory, and I mentioned this earlier, is a tripod. And this one is the Ravelli tripod. This has a excellent pistol grip mount here. And the camera basically just has a plate that mounts to the bottom of it, and it clips in like this. And then you screw in the attachment here. You can see that. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And the pistol grip allows you to position this very accurately and quickly. Now, this has adjustments up to 70 inches tall, so it's going to accommodate almost anything that you can get up to and see. So really nice, quick release. Move it, you know, you can capture all manner of angles. And it's great because it also has these sort of little bubble levels here. So you can tell when you are perfectly in level. Now the camera itself has a viewfinder level, so you can find level and make sure your shots are accurately leveled. But having these is nice. And also there is another accessory that fits into the hot shoe here that a lot of people get. It's a little sort of square bubble level, so that would be a nice little add-on. So the microphone I purchased because the onboard mic on this camera is just not that great. And so if you want to capture any kind of video, you're recording short films, this shotgun mic, which is the Rode Video Mic Pro, was available for $199 on Amazon. And it's got some decibel adjustments here. It's got a shock mount, so you're not impacted by moving the camera at all. It doesn't introduce aberrations there. You can also get a sort of dead cat that goes over the top of that. You've probably seen these before. They're sort of fluffy things that fit over this if you're doing a lot of recording outside to prevent wind noise. So that's another upgrade I would recommend if you're doing video. If you're not doing video, there's probably little reason to get that. This comes with one battery and a charger. If you're doing photo shoots where you're out and don't have access to power, probably want to pick up a couple of those extra ones. And then obviously the lenses come with the cleaning kits. If you don't get a lens that has a cleaning kit, then you'd probably want to get something like that as well. The last thing I'll mention in terms of accessories and upgrades that you'll want to get is Lightroom and Photoshop. Now we talked about the differences between tilt shift lenses and some of the problems that buying these lenses and trying to tilt it out of the horizontal plane, what those things can introduce, the aberrations they can introduce. Lightroom is a great program. It's made by Adobe, comes bundled with Photoshop with their Adobe Creative Cloud subscription for about $10 a month. So together you have a lot of post-processing capability there. And some things you might correct in Lightroom are super easy. So if we tilt the camera a little bit out of horizontal to capture a building perspective, or if we're inside and we're trying to capture a taller space, and we get some of these converging lines, there are automatic features in Lightroom that allow you to make those adjustments and automatically crop the image for you. Now there are problems with that. You end up taking pixels and stretching them out when you're changing some of these aberrations. So if you're looking to do real high resolution prints of your photographs, again, you might have to investigate a full frame camera. For my needs, and in general, probably for a lot of you looking to do a sort of mid-level semi-pro work, documenting your projects, Lightroom is going to provide you enough flexibility and adjustment to tune those images. You can change the white balance in there. You can open up the shadows. You can bring down the highlights. You can set your white points and black points. And there are all sorts of tutorials online to help you sort of take the raw image that you capture of your project and really fine tune them and get them looking professional. And I'll show you some of the images that I've captured using the 70D. You've obviously seen some of the videos that I've been experimenting with. And, I think the results here are that I've been really happy with those. So this is a 20.2 megapixel crop sensor camera. It shoots up to 7 frames per second, just raw shooting. It has an ISO range of 100 to 12,800, and then you can interpolate from there. It has a dual pixel CMOS autofocus for fast focus. And, if you have any questions as to what this actually means to your sort of raw recording, you should look up these specs, and there are plenty of videos talking about the advantages of that. It has a 3-inch articulating touchscreen panel, so you can see here this fully articulates. If you're recording videos of yourself, and you can see that we're doing that here, this is a really handy thing to have. It's touchscreen capable, so we can come in here and focus on particular points. We can bring up on-screen menus. There's a lot of versatility built into this, and this may not seem that useful at first, but it's quite useful. Okay, it has a built-in flash on the top, pops up when you need it if you choose to use it. This will record in 1080p, so HD, which is what I want, at 30, 25, and 24 frames per second. So great versatility there. Okay, some other features you may not have thought about. It has built-in Wi-Fi in this model, and so that allows you to do remote shooting. You can have the camera across the room, be recording video of yourself. You can have your laptop in place and sort of shoot to the laptop and be able to zoom in and do fine focusing details there. It also has an app that pairs up with your iPhone, so you can use that as the remote shutter. So if you're trying to stand some distance away and you don't want to disturb the camera as you're taking shots, just use the app on your phone. You can also use the app to focus on points, change the exposure. Anything you can change manually on the back here, you can change with the app via the Wi-Fi enable function on this. So really nice. Has a built-in microphone, which I believe is here, but actually, the microphone is up at the top. But again, I would recommend using the remote shotgun mic if you want to capture any sort of reasonable sound. Full manual mode in video, which a lot of the cameras, lower end cameras, don't have, so that's super useful. We talked about the SD card, and it has in-camera HDR, which allows you to take sort of a series of 3 shots, and it composites it automatically inside the camera. It weighs about 1.6 pounds without any of the lenses here. I've been really happy with this camera, and I think it's going to serve me for a long time to come. Please let me know what your questions are. I'm happy to answer those in the comments.